Hi, it's Hope and welcome to the video. This is going to be the books that I'm excited for June, and yeah, I'll start. On June 2nd, we have Conventionally Yours by Annabeth Albert, and this is about two people named Conrad and Alden who are mortal enemies stuck together, going on a cross-country road trip to a fan convention where they both are participating in this gaming tournament for reasons that are personal to them, and they form a connection on that road trip that they both, I guess, could be possibly scared of. And it just seems something that I'd like. Conventions, road trips, and then romance. That just sounds right up my alley, so yeah. Next we have A Song of Wraiths and Ruin by Roseanne A. Brown, and this one came out also on June 2nd. And I'm just going to read the quick little thing that I read, and I immediately fell in love with the idea of it. The first in a fantasy duology inspired by West African folklore, in which grieving crown princess and a desperate fugitive find themselves on a collision course to murder each other despite their growing attraction. That right there had me going it, but it's about a boy named Malik, I think that's how you pronounce his name, who escapes from his war-stricken home and starts new life with his sisters in the city. And when a vengeful spirit abducts his younger sister Nadia, as a payment into the city, he strikes a deal where he has to kill Karina, the crown princess of the city, for his sister's freedom. But Karina has her own plans, and that is to and her goal is to revive her dead mother through ancient magic that requires her to, requires the beating heart of a king, which obviously there isn't one, and she offers her hand in marriage to the victor of this competition. And that is a very bad description, but it just seems something that I like, and yeah, I've also been hearing it all over Twitter, and that just made me go, yeah, I really want to read it. Next we have The State of Us by Shaun David Hutchinson, and this one I have heard very negative things about that makes me probably not want to read it. Like, I kind of want to read it because the synopsis sounds good, and it reminds me of a book that I love, but it's basically we are in the election for the states, for who will be president. There are two main candidates, both of which their sons eventually kind of fall in love. And what makes me not want to read this is I've heard on Twitter that this is a very, it's, for what it's trying to accomplish, it's accomplishing it in a very bad way. And I'm not going to say what tweets I saw of this or anything like that, but that just makes me kind of, not want to read it because of what I've read, but I'm still not sure, so I'm keeping it in the video because it sounds interesting to me, but I've heard that it's very negative things about it. So next we have Divine Blood by Beck, Micheals, and this is a book that I've already read because I got an arc of this, and this came out June third. And this is about Dinah, a girl who lives in this little village that every 10 years this shadow demon thing comes and kills children in the village. When it came the last time, which was 9 years ago when we start the story, it killed her mother, her father, and her brother, leaving only her sister, and her grandmother alive in her household. And when times come around again, she remembers that there was this thing that made it so that they were invisible to this demon, and she goes to look for that. On her way that she's looking for it, she ends up in this forest where there are werewolves that attack her, and she gets saved by Cassiel, a celestial prince with magic, as well as her cousin Zev, who is a werewolf. And this is the story of Cassiel, Zev, and Dinah traveling to try to find this thing in this place. And yeah, this is a line from the synopsis that I really like. They must fight for what they desire or die trying. And this is a book I gave 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. It is, I give it 5 stars. It's more of a 4.5. I've already read this, but I had to add this just to get it out there that it's a good book. And it technically comes out this month, so yeah. The next book is The Kinder Poison by Natalie May, and this comes out June 16th. And this is about a girl named Zeru, who has always dreamed of leaving her kingdom and having adventures she's heard in stories. But because as a lowly whisper, her power to communicate with animals means that she is stuck in the royal stables until her magic runs dry. All that changes when an allying ruler invokes the crossing, a death-defying race across the desert, in which the first of his heirs to finish and take the life of a human sacrifice at the end's journey will ascend to the throne and be granted unparalleled abilities. And Zera leaps in the chance and does this. And that just, it's not like I want to do this right this second, but it sounds really interesting and a book that I might enjoy. It also says perfect for fans of Victoria Aveyard and Holly Black, which I have read series by both of them, and I like them, so that's kind of what makes me be like, I might like it. Next we have The Vine Eater by Carol Beth Anderson, and this is the sequel to The Frost Eater. And The Frost Eater is one of my favorite books out of this year, so I'm so excited for this. And since it's the sequel, I can't really explain what's going on, but in the first one we follow Nora and Cray. Nora is a princess who is going on this who at the end of this tour of her country with her father ends up in this village where she meets up with a boy named Cray. And Nora is a frost eater, which means that when she eats ice or snow, she has access to frost abilities. Cray has these same abilities, but he also has the ability to fly when he eats feathers. And because of this, that has the king's interest, and he ends up going to the palace for an apprenticeship to learn how to use his powers more. In that time frame, Cray and Nora become friends, and they eventually set out on this mission to find Cray's girlfriend, Zaisha, who mysteriously went missing. I think it was 6 weeks prior, and everyone claims that she left, but he knows that she would never leave without saying goodbye or without a note or anything like that. And this is the story of them, as well as Overrun, I think that's how you pronounce the name, I don't know. Those three kind of go on this quest, I guess, to find Zaisha, and there's dragons in the story. I always have to add that there's dragons in the story. And this is kind of the aftermath of the first book, and I can't really explain much about this one because it's the sequel, and this comes out the 23rd. It was supposed to come out in September, but it just got a change a couple days ago to the 23rd, and I'm so excited for this. This is one of my few most anticipated books of the year. Next, on June 30th, we have Goddess in the Machine by Lora Beth Johnson. And this, I'm just going to read the description because it is sounds so interesting. When Andra wakes up, she's drowning. Not only that, but she's in a hot, dirty cave. It's the year 3102, and everyone keeps calling her Goddess. When Andra went into cryogenic sleep for a trip across the galaxy, she expected to wake up in 100 years, not 1,000. Worst of all, the rest of the colonists, including her family and friends, are dead. They died centuries ago. And for some reason, their descendants thinks Andra's a deity. She knows nothing special, but she plays along as if she needs to figure out why she's left in stasis and how to get back to Earth. Zaid, the exiled bastard princess of Ironsaid, has other plans. 4 years ago, the sleeping goddess's glass coffin disappeared from the palace, and Zaid devoted himself to finding it. Now he's hoping that the goddess will be the key to taking his rightful place at the throne. If he can get her to play the part, that is. Because if his people realize she doesn't actually have the power to save their dying planet, they'll kill her. With a vicious monarch on the throne, a city tearing apart the seams, Zaid and Andra might never be able to unlock the mystery of her fate, let alone find a way to unseat the king, especially since Zaid hasn't been forthcoming with Andra. And with 1,000 years from home, is there any way of knowing that Earth is a better place than the planet she woke up to? I'm usually not interested in science fiction that much, but this one, I think I read it and just immediately went, that sounds really interesting, because it's 1,000 years in the future, we're on this different planet, she wakes up, and stuff happens. And that just I really find interesting. So those were the, again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 books that come out in June that I'm excited for. The one, again, not so sure how I feel about it, but yeah. I hope you enjoyed this video. Bye!